Okay, yogis, let's start. So just find yourself seated. Take a few minutes to forget about the rest of the day and come back to your physical being, come back to your breath, come back to what matters. See if you can leave behind everything else. Start dropping into your breath. Sit up tall. Sorry, that was my phone that was not on silent, so I kept it on silent. Sit up tall, relax your shoulders. With your breath. And as you compose yourself, bring your attention to your intention today. What have you come to your mat to practice, to learn, to forget, to remember? My intention is to go with a beginner's version of Vinyasa flow. So before we start, just a little bit about what Vinyasa and Vinyasa flow means. Vinyasa literally means putting things in sequence or putting things one after the other. So that's the broad definition of Vinyasa. Now, yogis use it for moving into different postures, and usually it feeds off a sun salutation. So you know the sun salutation: inhale, arms up; exhale, fold forward, one leg back, second leg back, plank, knees, chest, chin, Chaturanga, Cobra or up dog, down dog, one leg forward, other leg forward. Again, inhale all the way up, and you finish your sun salutation. So from there, you can start playing off. You can get into warrior poses, you can get into balances, you can get into stretches. You can do a lot of fun stuff with that. And yoga teachers kind of play with this, stay on one side, keep alternating between the sides. So there's a lot of fun stuff. And some of you know I get into mandala, so I rotate around the mat. But at the heart of this, there's something that most yoga schools will call do your vinyasa. So the vinyasa is essentially either going from down dog to plank, chaturanga, up dog, or down dog, or variations thereof. So just this bit of down dog back to down dog is called vinyasa. So, if the yoga teacher doesn't want to kind of say down dog, plank, they say, okay, do your vinyasa, we'll all meet back in down dog. So that's the shortcut version of vinyasa. But actually, vinyasa literally means putting one thing after the other in sequence. And if you notice, when I sequence the moves, moving from one pose to another kind of feels just smooth, it just feels natural. But this feeling of smoothness happens only if you've got your alignment proper, if you keep your feet and your palms in the right places. If you don't do that, you'll end up kind of, struggling. So you take one foot back and then it's not far enough, and then I say get into plank. Your plank ends up looking like this, which is not good. So you need to move your feet back, make sure your shoulders are over your wrists and all of that. So today, being a beginner's version of Vinyasa flow, we'll focus on these things of where you place your palms, where you place your feet, how far back to take your legs, what to do if you don't have either the flexibility or the strength to take your leg far enough back. So it's okay to move around, but then you try and minimize these movements so you still feel like you're flowing, and that's where the vinyasa flow comes in. So you feel like you're effortlessly moving from one pose to the other without having to constantly adjust and readjust your position. So with that long-winded talk, let's all stand up and find ourselves right at the top of our mats. So first things first, I always say keep your feet about hip distance apart because it's easy when you take one leg back, you just take it back in that straight line. So there is still that little, let's say, two fist gap between your feet. And then you know that if it's a warrior one setup, it's heel behind heel. Effectively, you're not taking one foot way behind the other. As you can see, I can't balance. So it's heel behind heel. Or if it's warrior two, it's heel to arch and your feet are perpendicular. So it's possible to take a foot back and then just drop it down. So that way you get your setup for either warrior one or warrior two. The other way of starting off is to keep your feet together. So big toes together, heels together. This is clearly the more elegant way because the minute you go back, you get your warrior one or you just get your warrior two without having to move your feet too much. But I'm okay, even if you keep your feet two fist distance apart, warrior one looks like this, warrior two looks a little like this. So you're not exactly heel to arch, I'm fine with it, as long as you feel the flow. So now you know why we start with either feet are hip distance apart or big toes and heels are joined. I reserve the big toes joined and heels joined for more advanced yogis who can handle the balance, and keeping this kind of just slightly challenges your balance when you're standing in Tadasana. But otherwise, you want to feel rooted. Let's all go, since it's a beginner version, let's all go with feet about hip distance apart and see if you can get your heels behind your second and third toes. Why do I do that? So that you get a little bit of internal rotation of the thighs, the hips, kind of starts engaging your muscles in a slightly different way. So you feel a little more solid, a little more grounded. Lift up all 10 toes, spread your toes, push them down again. So you're setting up a good base. I know we covered this earlier, but it always helps to kind of revise. Pull up your kneecaps, feel all the muscles in your legs engaging. Point your tailbone down, pelvis level. Increase the length of your spine. Get your palms in front of your heart if you want to kind of get into namaste. So the reason we get this palms touching is you get a tactile feel of being centered and kind of just closes the energy circuitry. Do that. Keep your chin parallel to the floor. Try and grow tall through the top of your head, just as tall as you can. Learn to soften your gaze. So sometimes I know yoga gets intense, and especially after you've done 2 or 3 very challenging rounds, your eyes look like I'm about to pass out or something like that. So just soften your gaze and just get back into your breath. When you're ready, inhale, circle your arms all the way up, reach as high as you can. Push down into all 4 corners of your feet, reach up. Exhale, circle your arms from the side. Now you can either circle from the side. Some people prefer to take their arms from the front. Now I prefer the sides most of the time if there is space, because it kind of opens up your rib cage. And because you're externally rotating your arms, it gives a little more ability to take in air. So as you exhale, release all the way down into your first forward fold. Try and keep your hips above your heels, your heart reaching forward. Hold on behind your calves. Gently start pulling it as much as you can go. Now, since this is your first forward fold, you're going to feel it a lot more than the subsequent ones. You may not be able to go in as much as you would like. A little more of your weight gets onto your toes. Inhale, come up halfway, heart moving forward, chin up, torso parallel to the floor, fingertips reaching down. I'm not just hanging in there, it's still engaged. My shoulders, my arms are still engaged. Exhale, bend your knees, fingertips on either side of your feet. Now take your left foot as far back as possible. Now notice a lot depends on how flexible you are with your hip flexor. If you're not very flexible and your hip flexor can't extend fully, you're going to end up looking like this. Your foot will not be able to go as far back, which means your hips will remain high. Your torso will be sloping down like this, which is cool. So go here and then use the assist with the mat to slide your foot back as much as you can. Once you've done that, make sure that your right knee is over your right ankle and then keep pushing your tailbone down as much as you can. So it won't just go down on its own. You got to kind of willfully push it down, and that gives you a different stretch on your right hip. So you're feeling a stretch in your left hip flexor and you're feeling a different stretch in your right hip. But you need to kind of consciously push your hip bone down, your tailbone down. While you're doing that, if you're tight in your hip flexors, you'll end up still doing this, the hip is still going down, but then your back starts rounding out. So inhale, increase the length of your spine, take your chin up, make sure your back knee remains straight. You got to find strength. I know this is really, really, really too much, but you really have to make an intention of getting that alignment, getting that movement. When you're ready, take your right foot back in line with your left foot, drop down to your palms, keep your index fingers parallel, spread your fingers. What I notice yogis end up doing is the index fingers are not parallel and they're like inward. So you get into this internal rotation of the arms or the shoulders, which may not be good because when you're sitting, you can release your pose anytime you want. When you're sitting, you end up rounding your back like this. So the minute you align your index fingers parallel to one another, you keep a neutral arm in your shoulders, which is what we're looking for. Equally, you don't want an externally rotated arm because then when you go for your chaturangas, it kind of works a different set of muscles. So when you're ready, find yourselves in plank. Now, if your shoulders are not over your wrists, adjust that. If your hips are not in line with your shoulders, adjust that. If you find your hips are sagging down like most beginners would find, and if you're looking like this, better to push your hips slightly above your shoulders than to do this. So don't take it into your lower back. Keep it in your shoulders. When you're ready, drop down to your knees, take your hips slightly back, bend your elbows, drop your heart between your palms, your chin on the mat, knees, chest, chin. If you notice, the tailbone keeps remaining up. Shoulders away from the ears. When you're ready, walk your knees back. Release all 10 toes on the mat. So my feet are still hip width apart. Nothing changes there. Inhale, slowly come up to Cobra. So when you're inhaling, instead of using your back muscles, push your palms forward. Assist your back muscles in coming up to Baby Cobra. So it's still a Baby Cobra. You can actually just come up using your back muscles. You don't need to use your palms, but just learn to use your palms. So there you are. Keep your neck extending, a natural extension of your spine. So no need to kind of yank your chin up or any of that. It just adds stress without adding any value to your alignment. When you're ready, tuck your toes in, come up through your knees, hips up and back. So if you notice, if you're doing this, you'll just need to flip your toes and get your heels down into your down dog. Each down dog is different and there's no right down dog. But what I find is that when we did this, if I leave my foot where it is and the plank, shoulders over wrists, hips in line with shoulders, the down dog just follows automatically. I won't get into too much of this because you've been on your palms for long, so get your left foot all the way forward. So a lot less pressure on your palms now. My wrists can rise because your torso is slightly higher because the thigh is getting in the way, and that's cool. You don't need to put all your palms down. If you can, well and good. Once again, keep your tailbone down and low. Right now, you don't have to adjust your right foot because it was already at the right place. So if you notice, once you get a placement correctly, the rest just follows automatically. Keep taking your heart forward. Keep moving your tailbone down. Remember that? Now notice my heel, right heel is going up towards the ceiling. So I'm not here. My right heel is going up towards the ceiling, but internally I'm acting like I'm pushing the heel towards the wall behind. So there's a difference between this and this. Here I'm just letting the heel fall. I'm not doing that. I'm keeping the heel up towards the ceiling, so directionally it's there, but internally I'm using my muscles to push the heel towards the wall behind. That increases the stretch on my right hip flexor. When you're ready, get your back foot all the way forward. Now watch. Don't do it yet. If you've got the strength and flexibility, it'll just come in one shot. If you don't, it's perfectly fine to bounce in the middle and then come to feet next to each other and then forward fold. So go ahead, get your right foot all the way forward, forward fold. Inhale, come up halfway. Hips over heels. I know I keep repeating this, but you'll be amazed that the minute I stop repeating it, you'll end up looking like this. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale from the side, circle your arms all the way up. Now when you're coming up, if you find the strain too much with your knees being straight, go ahead, micro bend your knees, come up, and then straighten out your knees, reach up all the way. If you want, look up between your fingertips. And release, palms in front of your heart, and relax. I know I'm going really slow, but the idea is to explain to you the various alignments and positions. And as you know, we just keep slowly building up on the flow. When you're ready, back to Namaste. Push down equally into all four corners of the feet. Yeah, the reason I repeat it is you get lost in the flow and you keep wondering what's coming next. But this is to get you back into the here and the now, one, and two, to remind you that your basic alignment, your basic postures like Tadasana are equally important. Bring mindfulness to each of your positions, to each of your transitions. So spine tall, pelvis level, palms gently pushing in towards each other, eyes are soft. Inhale, circle your arms all the way up, reach. Now I'm going to ask you to take your palms behind, so you're going to go into back bend. It helps if you push your hips forward and then go into the back bend, rather than keeping your hips where they are and then struggling to go back, because your center of gravity is going for a toss. So might as well push your hips forward, give yourself that little push forward with the hips, and then reach your arms back. See if you can take your heart up. If you want, take your chin up, otherwise leave your chin neutral. Inhale, come back up. So retract your hips to where you started from. Reach your palms up. Exhale, swan dive all the way forward into your forward fold. See if you can go a little deeper this time. Hips over heels, a little more weight into your toes. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, bend your knees, fingertips on either side. Get your right foot all the way back. Now you know the drill. If your right foot doesn't go all the way back, drop it where it is and then slowly bounce it back. But make sure your left knee remains over your left ankle. So you don't want to end up looking like this, because you'll struggle from here and your right foot is too far back. So when you do this, you can see your shoulders are already, my shoulders are already behind my wrist. I go for a plank and I end up looking like this. I need to be here. So right foot all the way back, heart moving forward, tailbone dropping down as much as you can. Now from here, let's practice that other one where your knee goes down. So first thing is just drop the knee down. Wherever it falls, it falls. Then consciously, without moving your front knee from over your ankle, keeping your fingertips down, see if you can walk the back knee further back. If you can, great. Normally you won't be able to, because from here, this is your max. Anyway, if you're doing this right and you're pushing your heel back as much as you can, your knee will drop down to a place where you'll already find a stretch in your right hip flexor. Once you've done that, think of taking your tailbone down and forward towards your left heel as much as you can. Once you've done that, climb up onto your left knee. Now think of taking your spine taller, so you'll feel that stretch in your right hip flexor increasing, and then think of pushing your shoulders back. See what happens to that sensation in the right hip flexor. It should start feeling a bigger and bigger stretch. And you know you can increase the stretch by taking your arm back. We won't do that right now. We did that last time. But you know that you can keep increasing that level of stretch with each move. When you're ready, get your palms back down. You know you're moving out of your stretch. Get the knee back up. So if you notice, you don't have to do anything. Just get the knee back up. I know it sounds like you don't do anything, but for some of us, even just getting that knee up can be quite challenging because you're tight in your hammies, your knees won't go straight, you're tight in your hip flexor, your hips end up here. It's fine. That's why it's a practice. It's never perfect. You keep practicing. When you're ready, get your left foot back next to your right foot in plank. Maintain that 2-fist distance between your feet. Drop down onto your palms. Your index fingers are parallel. Your fingers are spread. Your palms are neutral. Once again, drop down to your knees. Hips slightly back. So why do we do that? It's so that the shoulders move back. And when you bend your elbows, your heart can plonk in between your palms and your chin can plonk onto the mat. So there you go. With your hips up. Now usually when you do this, your shoulders will start coming up towards your ears. Keep them back. Keep pushing your tailbone up towards the sky as much as you can. It's almost like you want to get your knees off the mat, but you can't. I mean, you can if you really try, but you don't want to. You just want the tailbone moving up to get the pressure off your knees. Then just drop your tailbone down. So you need to really pick up your knees and relax your toes on the mat. This time go for the full cobra. So initially just use your back muscles to come up to baby cobra. When you can't come up anymore, stop, take a breath. Then push the mat forward with your palms. Use that root to rise principle to keep coming up in cobra. Now, when you're rising up, watch. If you end up doing this, like, oh my God, release your shoulders away from your ears and instead go back down to baby cobra. Keep your shoulders away, push the palms forward. So you're engaging like triceps, shoulders, and come up to cobra. From here, see if you can tuck your toes. See if you can get your knees off the mat, but keep your knees straight. And then just flip to up dog, down dog. Tailbone up and back into the best down dog possible. Right now, I'm not cueing you in your down dog. We'll just use this as a transition. Look forward between your fingertips. Get your right foot all the way forward. Between your palms, a little to the right because your feet end up with hip width apart. Once again, your left foot doesn't have to do anything. If you've done this right, you'll be where you are. Now, I know when you get your right foot forward, you might end up here. Knee is way beyond your ankle. You know you've got to push it forward. Use your palm, push it forward. Keep your tailbone low. Keep the left heel moving back towards the wall behind. Drop the left knee down. Same thing. Feel the stretch on the left hip flexor. If you need to wriggle your knee back, go ahead, do it. Climb up onto your right knee. Spine tall, feel the stretch in your hip flexor increase. If you want to, not if you want to, drop your tailbone down and forward is a must, but if you want to, keep pushing your shoulders back to increase the stretch. Just a 1 centimeter movement back increases the stretch like 10 times. Unless, of course, you're hyperflexible with your hip flexor, in which case you won't feel it at all. In which case, it's time to touch your toes to your head. Okay, when you're ready, drop your palms down. Pick up your back knee. Once again, See if you can get your back foot all the way forward. Now you know you're going to lift your hips. So it's okay for this one to actually lift your hips, get the foot forward, and then straighten your knees into your forward fold. So by now, if you've got the flexibility, your palms will reach down to the mat. Otherwise, hold on to the backs of your calves, pull yourselves in, but try to keep a straight spine. Try to keep your hips over your heels. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, circle your arms all the way up. And we go out the same way we came in. Push your hips forward, reach your palms back. Even now, push down equally into all four corners of your feet. Inhale, come up vertical. Exhale, release to Namaste. Stay with your breath. Check in with how you feel now. I know those were really, really slow rounds. I usually would have finished 2 rounds by now, but you know, sometimes we need to get deeper into the explanations. Stay with your breath. When you're ready, blink your eyes open. Inhale, circle your arms all the way up. So just to make it interesting, we won't go into back bend. Stay vertical. Just lift your heels off the mat. So get onto your tippy toes. What does this do? Basically, this engages your calf muscles, challenges your balance, asks you to remain steady, because right now, as you can see, I'm already wobbling all over the place. So makes you get in touch with your balance. It's one of the easier balances, but it's interesting because it preps you up for balances. Your brain kind of says, oh my God, this person is going to challenge me in different ways. When you're ready, drop your heels down. Exhale, swan dive, all the way forward to forward fold. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, bend your knees, fingertips down. Get your left foot all the way back. Keep your hips low. So if you notice, I'm going to transition to Warrior One, but I'm not doing any half measures. I'm not keeping my hips up. I'm not slanting my torso down. I'm trying to remain as true to the practice, as true to the pose as possible. Now, drop your left heel down, heel to heel alignment. If you're slightly away, no problem. Push your left pinky toe into the mat. Push your left hip forward. We've done this last time. You know how much your distance should be. It's about the same as what you do for your plank and your down dog. So that's the beauty. When you're ready, get your hands on your hips. Just come up to Warrior One. Now notice if your left hip is moving forward or not. If your hip is opening out like this, you know you got to push it. Notice if your right knee or right thigh is about parallel to the floor or not. I mean, this doesn't cut it at all. You might as well not be doing a Warrior One. This is going down really deep, and you may access it with a few rounds, but maybe not in your first round. But this is where most people find themselves, and you can feel your right thigh shaking. That's where you want to be. Inhale, circle your arms up. Exhale, fold forward. So windmill your palms all the way down. Pick up your back heel, front foot all the way back to plank. Now I'm just going to say, do your vinyasa with knees, chest, chin. So off you go. Drop your knees, chest, chin, shoulders away. Drop your hips down, toes down on the mat. Inhale, either baby cobra or full cobra. Tuck your toes in, hips up and back. Everyone find yourselves in Vinyassa, in the down dog. So that's like your Vinyassa. When you're ready, get your left foot all the way forward between your palms. Make sure your left knee is over left ankle. Why do we keep saying that? Because that's your mental gauge that your foot has come back to the place it started from. If it isn't, your foot is either too far back or too far forward. You don't want either of these. Drop your right heel down. This time you don't have to worry about where your right heel is. It's already probably in the right place. So heel to heel alignment, right toes in at 45, Push the right hip forward, left hip back. Hold on to your hips, come up. Notice if your right hip is moving back and you're opening up, just push it forward. Your headlights should be shining forward. Keep pushing your tailbone down and forward. You know where you feel the stretch. We've covered this last time. Today, it's all about the alignment and the flow. Inhale, take your arms up. Exhale, windmill your palms all the way down. So that's your Vinyassa transition. Pick up your right heel. Get the right foot all the way forward between your palms. Straighten your knees. Take your hips up. Drop your heart down as much as you can. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, circle your arms from the sides all the way up. You know where this is going. Lift your heels up. Reach up even more. You want to challenge your balance a little more. Start shifting your gaze up towards the ceiling or the sky and try to look between your fingertips. The reason I'm including this here now, though this is not very beginnerish, is you get to know that your gaze, your drishti, your line of vision is equally important. Where you look, your body will either hold its balance or will not. How quickly you look at something or look away matters. Drop your heels down, get your palms in front of your heart. Relax. Stay with your breath. Keep your alignment. Push down into all four corners of your feet, even as you get in touch with your breath. Keep your pelvis level, even as you get in touch with your breath. When you're ready, inhale, circle your arms all the way up. Don't worry, we won't do any balance this time. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, circle halfway up. Exhale, bend your knees, fingertips down. Get your right foot all the way back. Once again, left knee over left ankle, right knee straight, heart moving forward, chin up. Now drop your right heel down so your feet are perpendicular to each other. If you can, left heel in line with right arch. Today it isn't because I'm keeping my feet about 2 fist distance away. So my feet are more like an L rather than a T. Extend your right arm. You know we're getting in for warrior two. You need to keep your hips low. What I find some beginners doing, and it's okay if you're a beginner, you raise your hips, you come up into warrior two and then sink back down, which is fine. But if you want to really improve your practice, keep your hips as low as possible, extend your right arm, just come up without ever needing to move your hips. So there you are. Now, warrior two, you already know the talking points. Push your right pinky toe into the mat, keep your right knee straight. That gives you the energy to push your left hip down towards your left ankle. Keep the left knee over your second and third toe. Externally rotate your left thigh at the hip. Spine tall, shoulders relaxed, push out through your fingertips. Windmill your arms around. So your left palm goes down first, right palm goes down first. Try and keep them exactly where you want them to be when you get into your plank. Pick up your right heel. So it just kind of rotates up. Get your left foot back next to your right. Get down onto your palms, your shoulders over your wrists, hips in line with shoulders, hold plank. If you want, get into knees, chest, chin. If you want to do a Chaturanga, drop down to your knees and watch. Heels push forward. So I'm right now on my tippy toes. Shoulders go beyond my fingertips. I start bending my elbows, but I start taking my chin up. I stop when my torso reaches elbow height. Important that the chin is up. It kind of engages muscles in the back and then lower all the way down. Go ahead, you do it now. So lift your knees up. Push your heels forward. You feel the engagement everywhere. Start your shoulders beyond your fingertips. Bend your elbows. Torso down to your elbow. Hold, don't cry. Use your breath. And then lower all the way down. Release all 10 toes onto the mat. Slide your wrists back to your last rib. So we're going in for down dog. Now down dog, you know your hip points have to raise. The only things in contact with the mat are your palms and the tops of your toes. Inhale, push up. Your elbows are straight in a down dog, in a up dog. In Cobra, your elbows remain bent. Same thing with the shoulders, away from the ears. Maybe if you can, squeeze the shoulder blades in. Neck remains a natural extension of your spine. You want to hyperextend, you can, but you don't have to. Now from here, to get into down dog, notice that I have to flip my heels, my feet, and I have to walk my palms back. Because if you remember, we had slid our palms back to our last rib. So go ahead, do that. We all meet in down dog. Look forward, get your right foot all the way forward, maybe on the center line, maybe on the right side. If you're on the center line, then you end up with feet together. A little on the right, you end up with feet hip distance apart. Drop your left heel down, heel to arch alignment, feet perpendicular. If at the very least, extend your left arm, keep your hips low, circle up, open up. You really have to push down into your front foot to give you the stability to open up. When you've opened up, shift your stability anchor to your back foot. Push down into your left pinky toe. Use the left knee straight to push your hips down and forward. Spine tall, shoulders relaxed. Final expression of warrior two, turn your face over your leading shoulder. Gaze out at your leading index finger and out into the horizon. Soften your gaze. Windmill your arms around. Back foot all the way forward. Deep forward fold. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, circle your arms all the way up. And back down, palms together. Now next one, we'll pretend like we don't have the flexibility even if we do. So we'll go through the vinyasa in stages. So if you're already an advanced practitioner, you know what it means to be a beginner, and you kind of give that part of it your attention. And if you're a beginner, you know how to help yourself move deeper into the pose without feeling kind of left out or without feeling you're not doing your best. Believe me, if you're a beginner, you're giving it your best. It's just that your body has not opened up enough to allow you that flexibility or the strength. So don't feel bad about yourself. Just stay focused with where your alignment needs to be. Work towards it. It's never finished. It's always work in progress. Even for very advanced yogis, it's always work in progress. Remember that. So when you're ready, inhale, circle your arms all the way up. Exhale, forward fold. Now we're really getting into a vinyasa flow. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, bend your knees, fingertips on either side. Get your left foot just halfway back. And you can see hips are up. Whoops. We don't feel like we are maxing this out. So slide your foot back as much as you can in that same straight line. Sometimes beginners lose track of that alignment and then their foot ends up here. And then they drop into warrior one and then obviously they're going to fall over. So maintain that. Of course, I was exaggerating, but you know where this is going. So slide your left foot back as much as you can. Now see if you can drop your left heel down, heel to heel, left toes 45 degrees. See if you can keep pushing your tailbone down. You think this is too much? Get your foot in a little bit. It's okay. Keep your hips up. Inhale, come up, warrior one. If you notice, this is not my deepest warrior one. My hips are way up. Now if you feel, I've come up, now I've lost all that tension in my hip flexor. From here, can I go back? Yeah, go ahead, cheat. Get your foot back a little more if you can. See if you can go into a deeper warrior one. Get your hands onto your hip points. Straighten your front knee. Keep pushing your left hip forward, right hip back. Inhale, spine tall. Exhale, fold forward. I'm not cueing where you need to put your hands. You can put them anywhere. You want to leave them down. Leave them down. You want to leave them next to your ears. For more energetic practice, do that. Now, while you're here, you'll already be feeling a stretch on your right glute and your right hamstring. Now, see if you can push your right thigh bone further back and up. So it's like you want to shoot your right bone up to the ceiling. You can do that better if your left hip point moves down towards the mat or circles down towards the mat. Now see if you can inhale, straighten your spine, exhale. As you pull your navel in, drop down further. Notice your left heel. If it's peeling off the mat, you're probably not getting enough of a stretch. Leave that left hip heel down. Keep that left pinky toe sticking to the mat. Release your heart down. When you're ready, bend your front knee. See if you've overstretched your back foot. Inhale, come back up, warrior one. Just for the fun of it, we are going to go for warrior three, just to give you a feel of the vinyasa. So arms come parallel to the floor. So if you notice, you're going vinyasa one by one, sequencing, arms reaching forward, box of chocolates, the left heel starts coming up. Release the left foot off the mat, reach forward with your arms, take the left foot up, toes either pointing down or toes pointing back. No toes pointing to the side, because you know, toes pointing to the side means you're externally rotating your thigh at the hip. You don't want that. You want your hip point facing down, not facing up towards the sky. Arms next to your ears, reaching through your fingertips. Now the key thing is coming back down. So everyone slowly bend your front knee, take your back heel as far back and come down. Release, just stand and watch. What happens with warrior three is, if you're a beginner, the minute you want to come down, you're gonna be, oh, thank God, but you've lost control. So of course this is fine. If you do this, go back and come back into warrior one, which is perfectly fine. But if you want that control, as long as you're aligned, as long as your thigh is neutral in your hip, as long as you are flexing your ankle, as long as you're reaching through your arms, so my core is engaged and everything from the core is radiating forward and back. I just bend my front knee, I reach further back with my heel, and I land back in a perfect, well, nearly perfect warrior one. So I don't need to make any further adjustments. I don't need to slide back. I don't need to slide forward. I'm just here and I'm ready for my next move. It could be a twist. It could be anything. So that's the point of vinyasa, and that's the point of getting your foot back where it belongs. Windmill your palms all the way forward, front foot all the way back. Find yourself in plank, knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. So now here, the up dog, I didn't have to slide my palms back. So I won't slide my palms forward again. Exhale, down dog. Look forward, get your left foot all the way forward between your palms. Drop your right heel down. Inhale, come up. Warrior one. Hands to your hips. Straighten your front knee. Inhale, spine tall. You already know why I say inhale, spine tall, because there's no point going for a forward bend with a bent back. Inhale, spine tall. Exhale, forward fold. You can release your arms next to your ears, whatever you want, however difficult practice you want. Once again, left thigh bone shooting up and back. So you've got this hip moving up and back. You've got the right hip moving down and forward. Inhale, spine tall. Exhale, pull your navel in. Release your heart towards the knee or the toes. Bend your front knee. Inhale, come back, warrior one. Moving to warrior three, parallel your arms. Reach for the box of chocolates. Take the heel off, take the foot off. Slowly reach for warrior one. Now, in an absolute beginner, you probably need some help, so hold a stool or a chair for balance. When you're ready, keep flexing your back ankle. Bend your front knee. Reach further back with your heel. Try and come back to your best warrior one pose. Back knee straight. Wiggle your arms all the way down. Back foot all the way forward. Deep forward fold. Inhale halfway. Exhale full forward fold. Inhale, circle your arms all the way up. Palms together in front of your heart. So if you noticed, we had to adjust only on the way back. Once you've got your foot placing, you don't have to adjust back. And that's the biggest point of Vinyasa flow. Once you get your proper placing, you're not struggling moving your palms, moving your feet. The only place where you really might ever need to move your palms is if you've slid them back for your up dog to your last rib. That's the time then when you're getting back into down dog, you kind of need to just, as inconspicuously as possible, move your palms forward. So push down into all four corners of your feet, spine tall. Check in with your alignment, check in with your breath. Blink your eyes open. Circle your palms all the way up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, bend your knees, fingertips on either side. Right foot all the way back. Now this time, don't take it all the way back. Go halfway. Drop your heel down, heel to arch, feet up perpendicular. Come up into not so great warrior two. Once you've come up, you realize you've got the flexibility. It's just that when you're down here, it feels difficult to do this because, you know, your hamstring might be tied. Your hamstring here really needs to let go. So once you're here, walk your foot out even more. See if you can sink your left hip down towards your left ankle. You're here holding warrior two. So what you've learned is, you know you've not reached your foot where it needs to be. Don't worry, get into the standing pose and then just quietly shift that foot back to wherever it can go, and it may not be to your max. So in fact, just bring it in a little bit. We'll see how to handle that too. Straighten your front knee. Reach with your left arm. You know the triangle pose, so you're just going into triangle. Right shoulder back, right arm up, keeping it simple, no complications. Float back, standing triangle, bend your front knee. Just for the fun of it, get into half moon. So right palm on right hip, reach your left fingertips forward, left palm down on the mat, 8 inches ahead of your left big toe, a little to the left. Drag your right foot in halfway. So here you know you can get your hips up. Square out your shoulders, keep looking down. Float your right leg up. This time, again, flexed ankle, but your right toes are pointing to the right. So you know your thigh is externally rotated at the hip. Because you're pulling this hip point up, even this thigh is getting externally rotated. If you want, release your right palm up. Same thing about coming down from your half moon. Hand on hip. Bend your front knee, reach further back with your heel. Now, maybe it doesn't go full. Come halfway. That's cool. Warrior two. So this is my full warrior two. I'm purposely staying around 3/4 in. Windmill your arms around. Pick up your back heel. Front foot goes back, and as you can see, I'm already not in my best flank. My hips are way over my shoulders. If I'm comfortable with this and if my flexibility doesn't allow it, stay here. But most of us can slide our feet back into a little bit of plank. Because in a plank, there is really no constraints. And this much of openness almost everyone has. This is the equivalent of standing tall. When you're ready, knees, chest, chin, or Chaturanga. Inhale, up dog or Cobra. Exhale, down dog. When you're ready, look forward, get your right foot all the way forward between your palms. Drag your left foot in a little bit just to make it, either easier or awkward, wherever in your practice you are. Drop your left heel down, heel to arch. Extend your left arm. Come up into either a max warrior two or an awkward warrior two, wherever you are. Straighten your right knee. Go for triangle. Keep pushing your left shoulder back. If you want, look up at your left thumb. Once again, drishti. Where you take your gaze matters. So poses become easier if you continue to look down. They become more difficult if you look up. Slowly come back. Bend your front knee, left palm on left hip, right palm on the mat or outside, a little ahead of your right big toe, a little to the right. Drag your left foot in halfway. Square out your shoulders. Take your left leg up. Warrior two. If you're an advanced practitioner and half moon is easy for you, see if you can take your gaze up to your left thumb. Very slowly, no quick movements. Get your left palm on your left hip. When you're ready, bend your front knee, reach further with your left heel, come back, awkward warrior two. Not your deepest, awkward. Windmill your arm around. From here, it doesn't matter. Back foot all the way forward, hip width apart, knee straight, forward fold. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, circle your arms all the way up. Palms together in front of your heart. Close your eyes. When you're ready, release and just get seated on your mat. So let's do a few seated twists. So get your left knee in front of you. Your left heel is outside right hip. Your right foot is outside your left knee. Put the full foot down onto the mat. So you don't want to be like this. You want the foot down, you want the knee up, and then your right hip rises, so push it back down. You're sitting equally on both your hips. Now, before you twist, just watch the variations. So one is a simple one, elbow outside knee, embracing the knee. The other one is elbow outside knee, twist a little more. If you want, you can go for the bind. So you've got to really get your shoulder outside, get your palm under your thigh, and then the bind. Now, to get into the bind, you've got to start rounding your back. Once you've got the bind, inhale, spine tall, and same thing. The full foot continues to push into the mat. And you keep going for the bind. So start your twist, either just embracing the knee or elbow outside the knee, wherever you think you find your challenge. Stay with your breath. Slowly release. Twist to the other side. And See if you can get this knee, your right knee above your left knee. So your right foot is outside your left hip. If this is too difficult, just go for fire log, which means the calves are on top of each other. And like my thighs and my calves form a triangle. So I think I'll do the fire log pose today. Make sure you're sitting equally on both your sit bones, fingertips forward. Inhale, spine tall. Exhale, walk your fingertips forward as far as they'll go. At some point, like here, I'm finding resistance. So just stop, breathe a bit. Inhale, spine tall. Exhale, see if you can ease a little deeper into your pose. Take your time. With each breath, see if you can go a little lower. Slowly make your way back up. Very slowly, take your time. And this time we twist to the other side. So right knee comes in line with your center line. Your right heel is outside your left hip. Your left foot is outside your right knee and the full foot is on the mat. So the knee is up. And then you push your left hip down. Spine tall, you decide whether you want to hold your elbow around your knee, elbow outside the knee, or you're going for the bind. Inhale, spine tall. Exhale, twist. If you're going for the bind, you might need to round your back. Once you've got the bind, do remember to straighten your back as far as possible. Sometimes in a twist, the back shoulder starts moving up towards the ear. Release it away from the ear as much as possible. With each inhale, spine grows taller. With each exhale, you twist a little more. When you're ready, slowly release to the other side. Just a gentle twist to the other side. And then either do the Gomukhasana or the fire logs. So the other way around. So whichever knee was down will now be up, and whichever calf was down will now be up. Spine tall, fingertips on the mat. Exhale, walk your fingertips forward. Meet your resistance. Inhale, spine tall. Exhale, gently release. Keep doing this till you reach your max. Slowly come back up. Take your time. And release into your most comfortable Shavasana. So it's the easiest and equally the most difficult pose. Most difficult because there are times when just lying down and letting go is not easy. So if you're feeling a constriction on your upper back, I've told you how to handle it. Lift your head up, tuck your chin in towards your chest, gently release back down, slowly, head touching last. Relax your shoulders, relax your hips, ankles going floppy, which means your feet are pointing away, elbows slightly away from your torso, soft of the palms facing up, fingers curled, so there's nothing that is forced, just lying there. Move into your zone of quiet. When you're ready, take a nice long deep breath in. Hold your breath for a bit, move your fingers and toes. When you're ready to exhale, pull your knees in towards your chest. Slowly exhale. Give yourself a squeeze and gently rock from side to side. And then roll over to your right, turn your face down, blink your eyes open. Come up to seated, cross-legged, Vajrasana, whatever is comfortable. Spine tall, palms in front of your heart, shoulders relaxed, head gently bowed to your namaste. Thank yourselves for taking the time to practice. I hope you found this useful. For some of the more advanced yogis, this is kind of, taken for granted. But I know when you're a beginner, you struggle. Where should I put my palms? Is this okay? Is this not? So, I wanted to just demystify some of these things. And even if you can't reach the correct position in the first shot, don't think too much about wriggling your feet or your palms into the right place. Ultimately, if you practice enough, you'll just get it. And then ultimately, it just becomes muscle memory. Half the times, I don't even have to think about where my foot needs to go. It just goes, lands up there. But that doesn't mean I don't think about it. Believe me, I am always conscious. Where am I in space? Is this correct? Does this feel right? Does this look right? And then there's a point where you don't obsess about it anymore and you just say, okay, this feels right, let's go with it. But that just comes after practice. So initially, when you're practicing, it has to be effortful, but don't let it become an obsession. Namaste, yogis. As always, love to practice with you guys. And if there are any questions, let me know. Okay, you can unmute yourselves.